The onewheel has a giant problem, and in this video, I'm gonna fix it.
Yes! Let's go!
Now, I ride my onewheel every day. Aside from it being insanely fun, I live in a city, so it pretty much replaces my car, which is nice because my car is a gigantic van. I use it to commute to the hack space where I build many of my projects, and I use it to run errands and go to the grocery store, which is where this super annoying problem happens.
So usually when I go to the grocery store, I like to grab a shopping cart and throw the onewheel inside, but these ones have that quarter coin deposit, and I always forget to bring a quarter, so like half the time I just gotta carry this thing inside like a giant briefcase. And it has this handle, which is pretty good, but after like 3 minutes, you just feel like an absolute clown. This is like a 35-pound giant thing that you have to navigate through the store. I mean, if I had my way, I'd just ride this around the store, but they tend not to like that. It's truly my favorite way to get around, but this is horrible. And then there's also there's this handle here, and look at this. I mean, just imagine there were like a couple wheels down there. You could roll this thing around like a rolly suitcase. I don't understand why they don't just make it like this. I mean, everything's there.
The more I thought about it, the more it seemed obvious. Throw a couple wheels on the bottom bumper, and instead of carrying around this 35-pound behemoth, you could roll it around like a suitcase. It seemed so obvious, in fact, that I was a little confused why onewheel hadn't just invented the product themselves. But hey, if they're not going to develop the product, maybe I will. I have this sneaking suspicion that most people with onewheels struggle with this problem, so I wanted to create a great product that anyone can use, and for that, it had to fall within certain constraints. For one, it has to be removable. No superglue, no drilling into the onewheel. I also wanted the option to keep it on the onewheel while riding, so it has to be low profile enough that it won't interfere with my back foot. On top of that, it can't interfere with the ground clearance. When you stop on the onewheel or brake really fast, the tail hits the ground, so the whole assembly has to live above that plane. My first idea was inspired by those roller skate shoes. I had these when I was a kid, but apparently a company is making them now. Anyway, some sort of mechanism that folded the wheels out of the way would be awesome, and I even saw this footrest mechanism on a boat that seemed like it would work for this idea. But mechanical parts aren't really my forte, and I wanted a simpler, more elegant solution. And then, a few days later, while I was working out, no big deal, it hit me. You know those benches in the gym where you can move them around just by tilting them up onto a set of wheels? That simple, dependable action is exactly what I was looking for the onewheel. Now I just need to design a functional prototype. Shouldn't be too hard, right? Right? Now, you can remove the entire bumper, and I thought about 3D scanning it, adding a wheel attachment, and 3D printing a new bumper, but my experience 3D scanning onewheel parts hasn't been great, so I decided to go the old-fashioned route and take a bunch of measurements and some scaled photos. For that first prototype, I was just looking for fit, which was way too loose, but you gotta start somewhere. You'll also notice I kept a cutout for the taillight because I didn't want this attachment to impede my visibility to cars.
It's gonna need to be stronger than that.
Couldn't agree more, Morri, which is why I'll be printing the final version of this product with a brand new filament from the sponsor of today's video, Bamboo Lab. I'm printing these prototypes out of PETG, which is pretty strong, but I ride my onewheel relatively aggressively, so I'm gonna need something a little more rugged. This is PPACF, and it is a premium fiber-reinforced nylon with, according to Bamboo Lab, metal-like strength, and you know I had to put that claim to the test. First up, I printed this cute little Voronoi elephant, which has super thin walls and only weighs 25 grams. Honestly, I was not optimistic about this. It is so light, but it could support my entire body weight, no problem.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. All right, next test, I printed this ring. We're gonna see how much weight this can hold. 3, 2, 1. Oh, not a crack. I can even swing back and forth. All right, Eden, now come on my back. Nice.
I don't get paid enough for this.
All right, since the 3D printed ring could hold over 300 pounds, I'm gonna see if it can pull my entire camper van. All right, here we go. There's tension on it. It looks tight to me. Probably should be wearing safety glasses. Oh, oh way. Wow, that is crazy. Oh my God. Oh. Wow. All right, so it held on for a little bit, but looks like this might not have been beefy enough, but luckily I printed this guy. Let's see if this beefier one can hold the entire weight. All right, you got tension. Foot off brake. Yeah, there we go. Oh, wait, Eden, I need to confirm that your foot is not on the gas.
It's not on the gas.
No foot on the gas. Yeah, let's go. Bamboo Lab PPACF is on sale until September 27th. So if you want to 3D print parts with metal-like strength and stiffness, industrial grade precision, and unmatched heat resistance, now is a great time to pick up a few rolls. But before I can print my invention using this stuff, I need a working prototype.
All right, back to the design. The second prototype wasn't much of an improvement on the first, and I could tell that I needed some sort of mechanical snap fit, something to click into place. So I completely changed tack for prototype number 3 and tried to snap into the screw holes on the bumper, but this was way too tight. It actually snapped off camera as I was trying to push it onto the one wheel. This made me realize that I was having a really tough time figuring out the proper profile. So instead of making random adjustments and wasting a bunch of plastic, I took a little slice out of my model so I could see what was happening in the center of the piece. This was super helpful, and it gave me a lot of guidance to adjust the profile for prototype number 5.
Ooh, wow. There we go. The fit isn't perfect. Oh, actually, the fit is perfect. Oh my God, that is so satisfying. So these little nubs here slot perfectly into these screw holes. And that's like not going anywhere, baby. Also, check this out. No contact with the ground, so I could leave it on while riding. We got a nice gap there. Solely mechanical connection. I thought I was gonna have to use magnets, but we might be good with just this nice snap fit. Woo!
Now that I had a piece that actually stays on the one wheel, I was ready to add some wheels. One of the nice things about being a member of a hackspace is they tend to have tons of random parts that you can use in your projects, and the Vancouver hackspace happened to have this big bin of hard rubber wheels. So I grabbed a couple, took some measurements, and added wheel holders to my design. You'll notice that I printed this piece at a completely different orientation than the first 5 prototypes. And that's because even though the last one worked great,
but I do see a potential problem right there. That whitening of the plastic might be from fatigue. So, bending this back and forth to get it into the slots. Might need to reconsider the layer orientation as well.
3D prints are weakest between the layer lines, so my first prototypes were printed in pretty much the weakest orientation considering how this piece bends. Printing it nearly vertical means that the major stresses are happening along the layer lines, which makes this much stronger.
Oh, there we go. So it's staying on, doesn't drag on the ground, and will it roll? Woo! If I imagine I'm walking through the grocery store, that works really well. Prototype number 5, it's functional.
But in this weird twist of irony, now that I had a working prototype, things began to go completely off the rails. So remember how I said that I wanted this invention to be user-friendly and removable, something that anyone can use, and that definitely didn't involve permanently modifying the one wheel? Well, technically it's the bumper, it's a consumable part, you can buy replacements as they wear down, so it still seemed to fit the design constraints, but anyways, The reason I'm doing this is I noticed a problem with the snap-on design. The 3D printed pieces actually seem to be harder than the plastic bumper, and after putting it on the one wheel a dozen or so times, I could already see these big scratches being formed by the little nubs, and I'm sure that with repeated use, those scratches would turn into gouges, and the piece would eventually just fall right off. So I needed a better attachment method. I decided to try magnets because the idea of this thing just instantly snapping on feels like the best user experience I could hope for. So I embedded 2 super strong rare earth magnets in the bumper and sealed them in with epoxy putty.
All right, so we got our embedded magnets right there. Got it to fit the profile of the fender pretty perfectly, or the bumper, I should say. And then I'm hoping that these magnets match up to that perfectly, or at least close. Ooh, you see that? Now, it's not as strong as I would like. You can see there's a fair bit of space in there, and I think the problem is that this piece is too tight. So I cut this piece off just to see how it's impeding the fit. Oh yeah, that can get way closer now, but it definitely needs something here to stop it from rotating upwards.
This is where things really started to get out of hand. Prototype number 7 taught me that not only was the undercut profile too tight, but those 2 magnets embedded in the bumper just weren't strong enough. However, I realized I could fit 2 more magnets in that undercut, so I took off the bumper again and did a little more surgery. And at this point, you might be thinking this is getting a little ridiculous. If my goal is to make a user-friendly product that has mass market potential, how can I ask potential customers to do delicate surgery on their one wheel and stick a bunch of magnets inside? Aren't we getting a little far from the original goal? Yes, we are. But in that moment, I had total tunnel vision. I was zeroed in on making the magnets work, and I didn't realize that I was going down the wrong path.
All right, that might be it. Oh no. I was worried that this might happen. Dang. Yeah, so I even included the little nubs in this one. So it's just, like maybe if I made the nubs more dramatic, it would stick in, but I don't want to rely on that because I don't want to just tear out the plastic on the bumper. If the only design consideration was having it stick on like that, it would have been a success.
With the magnet design a complete and utter failure, I thought it was time to call in some help.
All right, sorry for the technical difficulties, and thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see what you got.
What I've done, or what I'm doing, because I'm still prototyping, is I made this.
Nice.
Which is essentially a snap-on dolly attachment. So one of the design considerations was I wanted to be able to remove it. You know, if I was riding off-road, I don't want this hanging off the back. When you are in a store, oops. See, that's why I'm still prototyping, because it's not the most secure fit right now. You know, you can just walk through a store, roll it around like you have a suitcase.
That's pretty sweet. But there's actually something that we have that might blow your mind and help you with the attachment. We have a new foot pad system called the FSTs. And so the foot pads basically have like little channels in them, but there's threaded inserts. So we could send you a set of those.
Oh wow, that's so. I'm looking at it now. That's like exactly. That would have been like. I know they've been out for a little while because I think I've seen them on your social, but I should have done a little more research because that would have probably saved me a lot of headache.
I think it's going to be the secret if we can. I'm going to try to get it to you by end of next week.
Ooh, wait, this is sick.
The FST foot blocks really lock in your stance, which can help you stay on your board if you can do crazy tricks like these guys, but when I'm riding in the city, my style is a little more trying not to get hit by cars. So I didn't really feel like I was losing out on much by removing the blocks to access what I really wanted, these sliding threaded inserts. Honestly, I swear I didn't think about these at the start of this project, which I feel like I have to say because my invention is basically made for this system. Even the width between the threaded inserts is pretty much perfect, but I still had to kind of redesign everything because these foot pads have a completely different shape than the stock foot pads. Trying to trace reference photos wasn't really working, so I went even more analog and created a little contour gauge out of masking tape and cardboard, which was an easy way to perfectly capture that profile. Oh, and see that tail thing? Well, when I was playing around with a snap-on prototype, I figured out a way to take this invention to the next level.
I feel like it'd be cool to add a kickstand so that I could leave it like, doop, just in the middle of the floor like that.
This ended up being one of the best features of my invention, but it still needed some work.
Ah.
The 9th prototype was actually super close.
We are so close, baby. I can feel it.
I was able to screw it onto the threaded inserts, which held the piece incredibly secure, but I realized I needed some more support from the bottom to stop that rotation. And obviously, the kickstand. For prototype number 10, I added a little hook to clip into the undercut of the bumper, hoping that would support against that rotation. And I brought the kickstand angle up so the one wheel could stand closer to vertical.
All right, there we go, there we go. It's actually like, it's pretty good. But does the kickstand work? Ah, yes! Let's go. Wait, how stable is it? That's crazy. Let's see, if I just throw it up. Oh yeah. I might want to make it a little wider because it does like wobble slightly as you put it up. Yeah, buddy, we are fully functional. At this point, it's like only refinements. Oh my God, I'm gonna be the coolest guy in the grocery store.
You know, they say the secret to happiness is setting low expectations, and being the coolest guy in the grocery store, I think I can achieve that one. But I wasn't quite ready for that title because in addition to the kickstand being a little too unstable,
shoot. Don't break the camera.
We also had a strength problem.
So yeah, I'm just leaning on this on the store. All right, that actually is stronger than I thought it would be. Oh, yep. Oh, interesting. It failed right around the screw holes. And that's what's left on the one wheel.
But I wasn't too worried about this because if you remember from earlier in the video, I have a little trick up my sleeve, and it rhymes with Schleeby GF. I was a little nervous printing this stuff for the first time. Oh, just to make sure we're all on the same page, it's the PPACF. I know that joke was like really high level, so just want to make sure everyone understands what's happening. It's the first real advanced material I've ever printed, and I kind of expected it to be difficult for some reason, but all you really need is an enclosed printer like the Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon, a hardened steel nozzle, and a hot end that can get up to about 300 degrees Celsius. This stuff prints best when dry, so I kept the spool in a dry box, and after making the final changes to my model, all I had to do was press print. But there was one thing I hadn't accounted for.
Ooh, this is this support material is attached pretty solidly. Uh-oh. Oh my God, that's so strong.
I probably should have guessed that carbon fiber reinforced nylon support material would have a bit of a stronger grip than PETG, and I was a little nervous that I was gonna have to break out the power tools, but some needle nose pliers, snips, a good podcast, and some patience was all I needed to get this stuff removed. If you're gonna print this material, I would definitely recommend getting the support settings dialed in, using a different support material, or just avoiding supports altogether.
All right, let's see. Is this our final one? Oh, we got our lip hooked in. Nice, perfect rolling as we expected. And if we want to put it on the kickstand, oh yeah, that wider stance is definitely more stable. It doesn't feel as wobbly as the last one. I can even do a little like slide into it and be confident that it won't immediately tip over. All right, so it works great. Oh my God, look how strong this is. I can literally carry it by the tail. But we gotta do the same strength test as the last one. I'm nervous. I feel like this is gonna snap it the same. It's so much force that we put on the PET G version. All right, so what do? We did a little one of these, little leaning, putting my body weight on it. Seems all right. Oh, that took my full weight right there. You see that? Feet left the ground. Man, that is so strong. It still supports our weight like all the way down.
Now that I finally had a working product, it was time to put this thing to the test. But what is this thing anyways?
It needs a name.
Do you have a name for it?
I didn't even think about that. What's this thing gonna be called? Little wheel thing?
Introducing the wheel stand. The only one-wheel accessory you need. Stop throwing your board in a shopping cart or carrying it around like a Neanderthal. Slap a wheel stand on it and roll it through the grocery store like the big brain human you are. Like I mentioned earlier, the kickstand ended up being a key feature. It makes this thing so ergonomic if you want to prop up the one wheel and go grab something from a shelf, or if you need to stand in line. It's approximately 10,000 times more convenient than bending over to put it flat on the floor. It also solves a surprise problem. If you have the wheel stand on your board, you can't actually use Onewheel's board stand. But honestly, just having a built-in kickstand on the board, it makes so much sense. Now, the wheel stand isn't perfect. The PETG design sort of relied on a bit of flexibility, the piece bending around and hugging the bumper, but the PPACF is so stiff that it takes a lot of effort to get it on the one wheel.
I love how this can just casually hold up to hammer strikes.
And I can make an 11th, 12th prototype and really get this thing perfect. But I had a better idea. For you 3D printing enthusiasts out there who also happen to ride a one wheel,
there are dozens of us.
I'm putting the files for free online. You can 3D print one for yourself, you can upgrade and modify the files, just don't sell it. Now, Future Motion, this part of the video is for you. I think this is a pretty awesome attachment for the One Wheel GT. I think it solves a legitimate problem that a lot of one wheel owners have. So if you want to work together to make a mass-produced version of the wheel stand and sell it under the One Wheel banner, I think we can make a lot of money together. You know where to find me. Special thanks to my top supporters on Patreon and YouTube memberships, Paige Arlt, Luis Armendariz, and my mom, Kathy Kurt. Love you, Mom.